So now I have the distinct honor of introducing the one person that can take on Senator Crapo, Mr. Do Nothing. And I'm very honored to introduce David Roth, Bonneville County, who is going to be our next U.S. Senator.
Thank you. Oh, it is bright up here. This is like last year, or when we had the drive-in. I'm David Roth. I am your Democratic nominee for United States Senate. I live in East Idaho, and I'm the father of 2 children that I adopted from foster care, who very much wanted to be here tonight, but I knew they would be bored out of their mind and driving everyone nuts. So they are home. They will be here in a couple days, though. And I want to just tell you how much it means to me to be up on this stage. A couple of years ago when I ran for the state legislature and I attended events like this, I never thought I would actually be up here at this stage. People in my community, we're not generally up here a lot. We're not generally out in front. I can think of about 31 people in the back of a U-Haul who would just prefer I wasn't up here at all. But we don't let that stop us. We never have. In my office at home, I have a sign on the wall that says, "Patience is a virtue, but persistence to the point of success is a blessing." I think often some of our most hard-won battles in this country, we have won through patience and persistence. And if there's one thing that I think that we've seen in the last couple of days or weeks, that's not enough. Patience and persistence may have won us the right for women to choose. It may have won us marriage equality. It may have won us interracial marriage or any other number of things, those hard-won civil rights battles. And what we're learning is that with the stroke of a pen, those can all be taken away. So if patience and persistence are no longer enough for us, how and what do we do? We have to be relentless. That's what it boils down to. We cannot sit back on our laurels. We cannot wait for things to get better. We can't say, you know what, this time we don't have the right candidates, or we don't have the right finances, or the economy's bad, or you give me any other excuse, and I can guarantee to you that it is going to be too late. We have to be relentless. But it's really hard to be relentless. It's hard when you're spending a lot of time away from your family. It's hard when I'm calling you up on the phone and I'm asking you for a contribution, and I know that it's going to be a struggle for you to make that contribution. It's hard when I'm asking for your vote. It's hard when I'm knocking on your door. It's all hard, but we have to be relentless. And the way that you find the ability to be relentless is you find your why. And I think so many of us as Democrats, we know the where. We know where we're going. We've spent part of the afternoon today on our where. We know the way, but do you know the why? And why it's so important is what matters the most. And when I talk to you about why, I don't mean the why of it's the right thing to do. I don't mean the why because it's politically correct or because people will respect me or I want to be looked at in a simple way. I mean the why that chokes you up in the back of your throat. The why that brings you to the verge of tears. The why that tells you I have no choice but to continue to go on and be relentless. And let me tell you, there is no shortage of whys. If you're struggling to find your why, let me give you a couple of examples. I receive letters from all across the country right now, emails of support and everything. And the other day, I received a letter from a parent in Nebraska who was so excited about my campaign and what it means to their family and their community. Their 14-year-old trans son has been in the hospital 4 times since the beginning of this year with credible suicide attempts. 4 times. And you know where a lot of that starts? Right here in Idaho. We are the birthplace of the anti-trans laws. We are, and they're spreading across the country, and it started right here. It started in Idaho Falls with Barbie Hart. In my home district. Thank the Lord that we have Miranda Markwood over here who's going to take on Barb again. And Miranda's pretty darn relentless. She really is. So when I read that email, I'm not going to lie, it chokes me up in the back, and it makes me feel for that parent so much. Because who of us sitting in this room could honestly look at that parent and say, you know what? Your child doesn't really matter that much. Your child isn't worth the sacrifice that I might have to make. No, I don't think anyone here would actually say that. So you think about that why the next time. If you struggle and be relentless. If that's not your why, if that doesn't choke you up in the back, think about the woman who in just a couple of days, likely, is going to lose the right to control their reproductive freedoms, their reproductive medicine decisions. Think about that for a second. Think about the woman who feels so desperate that she's honestly looking at a cold metal coat hanger as a viable solution because we have taken away, well, not we, but as a society, have taken away her right to safe medical care. And maybe that chokes you up in the back and gets you to think a second that this isn't okay. And it's just the starting point. They say, well, it'll be that and no further, but that is, if you believe that, I've got some oceanfront property in Arizona for you, and it'll help fund my campaign. So by all means, make me an offer. It won't stop there. Once they have a victory, they won't stop. They'll keep going, and you're going to see everything up until just a few weeks, up until after the primary. Mike Crapo actually listed on his campaign that one of his goals was to overturn marriage equality. And he will have the ability to do that. The only way we stop it is to not only maintain our majority in the Senate, but expand it. Be relentless. And I'm sorry, if that is not enough for you, I'd like you to think about the school children in Texas. I'd like you to think about the little girl who testified before Congress who talked about smearing blood on herself and playing dead so that she would not be gunned down in her classroom. It's hard to talk about that and to think about that and really think about it. Really think about you being in that situation. How many of you have dropped off your kids at school in the morning? And how would you feel if you did not get to pick them back up again? Let that sink in for a moment, because that is what we are up against. So let that sink in and be relentless. It is our only opportunity, and as my nearly 105-year-old grandmother who has been through everything will tell you, when you are faced with those kind of odds, you have to keep fighting. You have to keep going. You have to dig deeper. And when you've given all that you can give and you've done all that you can do, you have not an ounce of strength left. What do? You keep going. Because what is the alternative? And that is what I want you to think about tonight. What is our alternative? There is no alternative. We have no choice. It is absolutely critical. You talk about wanting to send a message to the Republican Party. We have an excellent chance this year of sending a message to the Republican Party. Knock out their highest federal candidate, the guy who, if he wins election this year again, will knock out our very own Frank Church as being the second longest serving senator in Idaho. This is the year, for any number of reasons. Whatever reason is your why, find your why and be relentless. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.